Hi yogi friends, Cathy here. So glad that you are here to practice with me today. We're going to begin our practice standing today. I would suggest that you grab a couple of blocks. Those are going to definitely be handy today. If you have a strap or if you want to use a towel. I don't think we'll need it today, but it's always nice to have these props handy in case you need them. Any kind of blanket is nice to have. If you have a firm pillow or a bolster, that may come in handy too, but I definitely think the blocks are the thing you're going to want the most. So let's begin standing with feet about hip distance apart. Lift the toes up just a little bit so that you can make sure the footing is nice and stable and that the weight is evenly distributed between both feet. And close the eyes and draw attention to your spine. We want to have length from the tailbone all the way up through the back, the neck, the back of the head, and right out through the crown. Think of opening the front body up so that we're lifting, and then also allowing the tailbone not to tuck, but just to be pointing toward the floor, but still honoring that lumbar curve in the back. Engage the thighs here. We're starting in this strong mountain pose. Draw the attention to the points in the body that are grounded on the surface beneath you, where gravity has you securely fastened. And take notice of any sensations that you have in the body. And then come to focus on your breath. And let's take a big, full belly inhale here. You can even put the hands on the belly as you allow it to really open and expand with oxygen. And then as you exhale, drawing the belly button in toward the spine, pressing that exhale out. Let's do this twice more. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Take one more big full belly inhale, and on the exhale, we'll chant Om together to open our practice. Om. That chant of Om is just our reminder that we are connected to one another through the universal life force that is in every living being. And it's just a wonderful way to open our practice up. With that reminder, let's drop the hands down to the sides, open the eyes gently if you haven't already. And we're going to begin by coming into a cat-cow. So actually, we're going to come into a tabletop, moving into a cat-cow. So let's come onto the hands and knees, spreading the hands really nice and wide. Fingers are spread wide open, pressing into the fingertips, pressing into the pad of the thumb. The wrists are right under elbows, elbows right under shoulders, and knees right under hips, feet right behind knees. Lengthen out through the crown of the head and through the tailbone. Draw the navel up toward the spine, and that helps to support the low back here. So this is an active position. We're really pressing into the base of the palms. We want to have some space between shoulders and ears so that we're not creating tension. So there's a lot going on here, even though we are in a still position. We've engaged a lot of the muscle groups. From this strong foundation, let's drop the belly down, lift the head, the crown of the head, and the tailbone toward the sky, and hold here just a moment, noticing how this feels in the front body. And then we're going to press into the palms and press into the knees and tops of the feet as we curve the spine up toward the sky. Draw the belly button up toward the spine, holding there for a moment. And then on an inhale, drop the belly. Moving through this cat-cow. Exhaling, belly button to spine. Inhaling, drop the belly. Exhaling, belly button to spine. And once more, drop the belly. And exhale, belly button to spine. And then we'll come back to a neutral position. And in our neutral tabletop, still engaging the arms of the muscles, gripping into the fingertips, drawing the belly button toward the spine. And then we're going to begin to press one hip out to the side, and then we'll bring the hips back toward the heels, crossing over the heels and pressing the hips out to the other side. So we're making these big hip circles, opening up the hip socket and working with our mobility there. You might notice that one hip feels really different than the other as you go through this movement. And if you've practiced with me for any length of time, you know my mantra about discomfort versus pain. A little discomfort means the body's telling you to pay close attention. Let's reverse those circles now. And you will know if it crosses over into pain, and that's when you make an adjustment. Maybe you make your circles smaller and you don't bring the heels back as far. That's one option. Maybe you pad the knees if this is bothersome for the knees. Listen to the information that you're getting through the sensations of your body to make adjustments that work for you. This is your practice, and it is meant to serve you. Let's do one more big hip circle here, and then we'll come back up to our tabletop. We're going to lower the elbows down where the hands were. So bringing a 90-degree bend into the elbows. The hands are directly out in front of the elbows, and we're going to walk the knees back just a little bit. This is a place where if you have some tight shoulders, you may want to grab your block. You can bring and put it right between the forearms, because we're going to lower the forehead toward the mat. And if the forehead won't come all the way down to the mat, it might work really nicely to place the forehead on a block. And I can demonstrate that here too, on whatever setting might work best. You should feel a nice opening in the shoulders here. This is the puppy postures. We're also opening up the front body. If you have the forehead on the mat, just letting the weight of the forehead rest gently on the mat or on the block. If the head is resting on the block, you want to rest it gently there also. And from here, we're going to bring the weight forward and lengthen the legs out behind us. And we're going to come back to that position. We may need to move the arms around a little bit so that the elbows are directly under the shoulders. And we're going to draw the navel toward the spine, lengthen up through the crown of the head, really pressing into the elbows and making sure we're pressing also into the pubic bone, because we want to protect the low back here. And we've come into our Sphinx pose. So we're looking straight ahead. Actually, I should not say straight ahead. We should probably start by looking toward the front edge of the mat. And then you might raise the nose up to look straight ahead. And it's just going to depend on your neck and shoulders. Again, really listen here. If it feels better to just look down at the mat, then do that. You're going to feel the sensations that tell you what to do best. From here, let's lower the forehead down to the mat, opening the elbows out a little bit, bringing the hands right beneath the shoulders. We're going to press up here either into a tabletop or into a plank. You decide. If you're coming up either way, keep the elbows close to the ribs as you come up. If you're coming up to your plank, or if you want to do a half plank, you can lower the knees. We just want to have a straight line from the crown to the hips, out through the knees and all the way out through the heels if you're in that full plank. Holding there just a moment. And then we're going to come up into our downward facing dog, pedaling the feet here. And I hear a little snap, crackle, and pop in my ankles and feet when this pedaling action is going on, which is fine as long as there's no pain involved with that. And that's not the case for me. So keep pedaling the feet to really open up the back of the calves, the Achilles. And then finally, when you feel satisfied with that movement, bring the feet to a still position. Bring the big toes just slightly closer to one another so that the heels can open away from each other a little bit. It's a little more rotation in the hips. Really gripping into the fingertips here so that the wrists are not taking all of the weight. That also helps us strengthen the forearms a bit. And allowing space between the shoulders and the ears. You'll hear me say that a lot. We don't want to create any more tension there in the shoulders. Bring the feet to parallel now. Lengthen the the crown toward the front edge of the mat. Lift that tailbone toward the crease between the wall and ceiling behind you and straighten the back. A lot going on here. Again, even though we're in a still position, there's a lot of engagement happening. Let's walk the feet forward into a forward fold. And just hang here wherever it is most comfortable, allowing the knees to bend as much as feels right for you today. If you want to play with straightening the legs, straightening the back, you can do so. You can sway a little bit from side to side here. That can feel really nice. You can shake the head, nodding it and shaking it from side to side just to release tension. That can also feel really nice. Here's another spot where you may want to bring a block into your practice. You may or may not want it. You can decide, but bring it over here in front of the face, right below the face, or place the palm, the left palm there on the floor right in front of the face, or right on top of the block. Bend the left knee. So the left palm is in front of the face on the floor. We're going to bend the left knee really generously and straighten the right leg. Bring the right hand just inside the left wrist and then just draw it across the arm, across the chest, and lengthen it out through the fingertips. So we have a straight line from the hand on the floor up through the fingertips, up above the shoulder of the right arm. And you're probably going to feel some sensation here in the back of the glute, the hip on the right leg, and even over into that IT band. And then we're going to bring the right arm down, replacing the left hand with the right hand, straightening the left leg now. I'll bring the block in play on this one so you can see that if you want that option. Bend the right knee really generously, straight right arm. Left hand just inside the forearm, the right forearm. Draw it across the inside of the arm, across the chest, lengthen out through the fingertips of the left arm. And again, think of lengthening out through the crown here too. We don't want to let the neck just flop to the side. We want it to be an extension of the spine. Holding here for just a moment. And then we're going to lower that left arm back down, coming back into our forward fold. And again, a little sway, a little shake of the head, whatever feels good for you here. Let's roll up to standing. And let's come to the long edge of the mat. I'm going to work with the arms a little bit here. Lengthen one arm out to the side of the body, and then just bring it right across in front of the chest. And then we're going to take the opposite hand, place it right above the elbow. Make sure this shoulder of the extended arm is lowered away from the ear. Just relax. We're not pressing it down. We're just allowing it to relax away from the ear. And then we'll take this opposite hand and press that bicep, tricep area of the arm closer into the chest. So you're going to feel this in the back of the shoulder and the outside of the upper shoulder. Now, if you have a shoulder injury, this one you're going to want to be extremely gentle, and it may not work for you at all. You may simply want to work on mobility with the shoulder, and that can mean just bending the elbow and moving the arm in positions that work for you. If this is too intense, if you've had an injury, if you've had surgery or something like that, then you know what you need here, and you don't want to overdo it. We want everybody to stay healthy and injury-free. Let's release that arm back out to the side and then lower it down to the side of the body. We'll do the same thing with the opposite arm, taking your modifications if you need them, bringing that arm across the chest, opposite hand on the tricep, pressing that upper arm against the chest. We're not twisting the lower body here. We're just allowing this arm to be stretched in front. And again, length between shoulder and ear so that the shoulder is relaxed. Holding in this position. And then to come out of this, we'll release with the hand, bring the outstretched arm to the side again, and lower down to the side of the body. Let's lengthen the arms up. And that little back bend at the top. Bringing the hands into prayer position at the chest. Let's come back to the short edge of our mat again. We're going to do that same length up. Engage the thighs, engage the navel toward the spine, and then lift up and tilt back. After we lift up, let's open the arms like goalposts here. So we're just opening through the front of the body just a little bit more before we do our forward fold, and then we're going to dive forward. This time we're going to take the right toes back, and you can either lower the knee and back, lower that right knee and the top of the right foot for a low lunge here, or you can stay up on the toes of the right foot. Either way, and here's another spot you may want to block, either the block under the hand or the hand directly on the mat, right underneath the shoulder. So shoulder, elbow, and wrist are right in line with each other, gripping into the fingertips. Left ankle and knee are stacked right above one of the other. We'll take the left arm, draw it across the outside of the calf, and then lift it up into another twist here, lengthening through those left fingertips, lengthening through the crown of the head. And notice the left leg, the heel, the knee, and the hip should be on one plane. Nothing should be popping out to the side or coming in toward the midsection of the body or the midline. They all need to be in one plane. So if you were up against the wall, your hip, your knee, and your ankle would all be basically touching the wall. And you can also think of lifting that hip up and pressing it back just maybe 1 inch both ways, and you'll notice a change in sensation there. Let's bring that left hand down. We're going to now bring the left foot back into a plank, or lower the knees into a half plank. And then we're going to lower all the way down to the belly, keeping the elbows super close to the body. And then once we get there, hands are right below the shoulders. We're going to press up into a little baby cobra, or maybe we even come up a little higher. Again, keeping elbows super close to the body. And then we'll lower back down. Let's press up through a tabletop or a plank, coming into our down dog. Pedaling the feet there just a little bit if you like. Let's walk the feet forward into our forward fold. A little sway, a little shake of the head, whatever feels nice for you today. And then we'll rise back up. Tall stretch, fingers above shoulders, little back bend at the top if you like. And then bring hands to prayer position. Let's lengthen back up again. Maybe a little back bend at the top. Maybe we do the goalpost arms to open up through the chest, pinching the shoulder blades together. Lengthen back up tall, diving down into our forward fold. This time, we'll take the left toes back. Lowering the left knee and the top of the left foot if you like, or staying up on the toes. You can also bring a block underneath the hand to bring the earth up a little closer to you, or you can keep that hand directly on the mat below the elbow, and elbow right below the shoulder. Again, watch knee and ankle alignment on the right foot. We want the left foot and the right foot to be like railroad tracks, not one right in front of the other, but parallel to one another. Let's take this right hand across the outside of the right calf, lengthen up through the right fingertips. And again, notice my hip was poking out. I want my hip, my knee, and my ankle to be in one plane. And again, if you want to add a little intensity, lift up with that right hip and press it back, just a half inch maybe. And you'll notice a little change there. Lengthen out through the crown of the head so it's not Tilt it off to the side. Bring that right hand down. Let's take that right foot back so we come into our plank, or lower the knees into your half plank. Lower all the way down to the belly, keeping elbows close to the ribs and pressing up again into your cobra. And then lowering back down. Let's press up into a tabletop at this point. And we're going to come back into a wide-legged child's pose. If you like a regular child's pose, you get to choose here. It's your practice. I'm going to come into knees wide as the mat, bringing the big toes to touch one another and extending my hands out in front in this wide-legged child's pose. And since we've been doing a lot of work with the arms, I'm going to really stretch the fingertips forward and press them into the mat and lift my palms off the ground. So that's giving me some side body stretch and some stretch of the arms. You can also bring the hands to prayer position out in front of the head on the mat, and then bend the elbows so that that prayer position can come up right behind the head while you have the elbows on either side of the head. And you can press the elbows into the mat a little bit here. You can press the fingertips into one another, and that opens the palms away from each other. You can even move the hands while they are in this position forward and back just a little bit behind the head. All of that's working on the shoulder opening and stretching and mobility there. Let's come back up to our tabletop and then finally come over into our seated position for just a moment. Let's raise the arms up above the shoulders. Take a twist here. We sometimes use this as a warm-up. Today we're going to use it as a little bit of our cool down. And then we'll raise the arms back up over the shoulders, twisting to the opposite side. Let's raise the arms back up as we come to center, lowering the arms. Now let's come into our Dandasana, facing the short edge of the mat. Both legs are extended right out in front. We're going to raise the arms up tall over the shoulders, lengthen through the crown, really pressing into the sits bones. And after we've lengthened up, then we'll bend from the hips. And as we reach our edge, we'll lower the hands on either side of the legs. After you've been there for a moment, if you want to try to reach the toes even slightly closer to the nose or nose slightly closer to the toes, you can do that. We want to work on trying to keep a flat back here. And if that means we don't bend as far forward, that's fine. You may also find that rolling a towel or blanket between the knees or behind the knees so that there's a little more bend there can be helpful. Because if we have tight hamstrings, there's not a lot of mobility there just yet. We're building that as we practice. So keeping this flat back helps to lengthen those muscles. Let's use the fingers to sort of press us back up. And then we're going to just move the bottom forward a little bit as we roll ourselves down gently onto our backs, coming into our full Shavasana here. Rearranging on the mat as you see fit so that you are comfortable. And then I want you to just lie here with the feet flopping open to the sides, the palms facing the ceiling, and really focusing on the breath. We're going to just be here and breathe for 2 or 3 minutes, soaking up the benefits of all the work that we've just done in this practice. Feeling gratitude for this time to take care of ourselves today. And I encourage you to let any thoughts that come to mind pass right through like clouds in the sky without having any attachment or any judgment of those thoughts. I'll let you know when it's time to come back to full awareness. And if it's helpful, you can entertain or occupy the mind by scanning the body and naming off the body parts silently to yourself as you scan them for relaxation of any tension or efforts. Just be and breathe until I let you know that it's time to come back. So you can start to come back to full awareness by bringing some movement, some wiggling to the fingers and toes, circling, rotating the ankles and the wrists, lengthening the arms up above the shoulders in a full body stretch, really pressing through the base of the palms as you press through the heels away from one another. And then let's roll over onto one side of the body, pillowing the head with the arm. We'll take one full breath cycle here, just keeping the eyes closed. And then we'll gently press up into our comfortable seated position here. Maybe bringing a towel or a blanket just behind the tailbone to give us a little bit of support there and keeping the pelvis nice and neutral. Working to keep the eyes closed here as we bring our practice to a close. Let's again draw some attention to those points in the body that are grounded on the surface beneath us, where gravity has us securely fastened. Notice any sensations in the body that are different now than when you first came to practice. Notice if there's been any shift in the mind, in the state of emotions. Maybe notice a difference in the breathing pattern or the heartbeat. Bring attention to your tall, straight spine that provides you with this strong foundation for carrying your body throughout each day. Let's bring the hands together, a prayer position at the heart space. Let's chant Om together once to close. Big full belly inhale. We close with that same reminder that we are all connected to one another as living, breathing beings. Let's bring the thumbs of the prayer position to rest on our forehead. May we have peace in our thoughts. Lowering thumbs down to the lips, may we have peace in our words. And finally, resting back at the heart space again, may we have peace in our hearts. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you, and I bow as I say, Namaste. I want to thank you so much for being here to practice with me today. You can get notifications whenever we have new videos on YouTube by clicking that little subscribe bell so you'll get notifications. And I want to hopefully wish you peace and tranquility. I hope that this practice brought some peace and tranquility into your day and that you can now carry that off with you as you navigate the outer world for the rest of your days. So you're bringing that peace to everybody that you encounter. Thanks again for being here to practice with me. If you'd like to also get tips on Instagram, you can find me at Find Bliss Yoga there as well. Can't wait to practice with you again soon. Namaste.